Billionaire meets unwanted fat girl through mail, then is shocked when he sees her body. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. I never expected to see him again. After running out of that restaurant, embarrassed and flushed with shame, Emma tried to shake off the awkwardness. She didn't even look back, her heart racing as she tried to get a grip on herself. She thought she would never think about Liam again, but she was wrong. Over the next few days, the memory of their conversation kept coming back to her. It wasn't that he was anything special, she told herself. He was just a random guy she had mistook for someone else. But there was something about him, something in the way he listened to her, the way he didn't judge her when she spoke about her life. For the first time in ages, Emma felt like she was heard. But it didn't matter now. He was probably some rich guy who wouldn't even remember her name. What did she expect? She wasn't the type of person someone like him would even notice. But that night, as she sat at her small kitchen table, her phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. She glanced at the screen. Unknown number. She hesitated for a moment before picking it up. Hello. Hi, Emma, a familiar voice said. This is Liam Parker. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly put the phone to her ear and tried to sound composed. Hi, Liam. How did you get my number? I'm sorry about what happened the other night, he said, his voice calm and steady. I should have corrected you right away, but I didn't. It was kind of nice talking to you, and I thought maybe we could meet up again. You know, without the whole mix-up. Emma's mind was racing. Why would you want to meet again? I mean, you're probably busy, right? I don't want to bother you. You're not bothering me, Liam replied. I just think we didn't get a fair shot at actually talking. How about we meet at a cafe this time? No blind date, no mistakes. Emma bit her lip. It was tempting. She couldn't deny that. But she had no idea what to expect. She was just a waitress, and he was Liam Parker. Okay, she said hesitantly. I'll meet you at 4. They agreed on a cafe in the city, one that was cozy and quiet. Nothing like the fancy restaurant where they had met before. Emma took a deep breath. She wasn't sure why she was doing this, but she was curious. She needed to know more about him. What was the real Liam Parker like? And was there really any chance they could have a connection beyond that embarrassing first meeting? The next day, Emma dressed carefully. She wore a simple dress that wasn't secondhand, just one she had saved up for after months of working doubles at the diner. It wasn't much, but it made her feel good about herself. When she walked into the cafe, she saw him right away. Liam was sitting at a small corner table, his eyes scanning through a tablet. He looked different than the man she had met at the restaurant. He was dressed casually in a jacket and jeans, but there was still that air of confidence about him. He looked up as she approached, his face breaking into a smile. Hey, Emma, he greeted her warmly. Thanks for meeting me. She smiled nervously. Thanks for inviting me, she replied, sitting down. They made small talk at first, about the weather, the cafe, anything to fill the silence. But slowly, the conversation shifted, and they began to talk about their lives. Emma told him about her dreams of becoming an artist, about how she worked hard to make ends meet, and how she didn't feel like she fit in with the people she often served. Liam listened intently, asking questions, genuinely interested. It was strange. She had never been able to talk like this with anyone, not even her closest friends. He made her feel like she was important, not just another person who served him coffee. The more they talked, the more comfortable she became. And then it happened. As she was talking about her struggle to save money for an art studio, she mentioned how she had been trying to pay off her student loans. Liam's expression softened. You're working hard for your dreams, he said. I respect that. Emma looked down, embarrassed. I don't know if it will ever happen. I mean, look at me. I'm just a waitress. People like me don't get the chance to do things like that. Liam shook his head. Don't sell yourself short, Emma. You've got talent. And that's something money can't buy. Emma blinked, surprised by his words. She had never really thought anyone saw her that way. Thanks, she said quietly. There was a long pause, and then Liam leaned forward, his tone turning serious. Look, I know I haven't been honest with you about who I am, he said. But I wanted to be upfront now. I'm not just some guy. I'm Liam Parker, the CEO of Parker Technologies. Emma froze. The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. She stared at him, unsure what to say. I'm sorry, Liam continued. I should have told you earlier. But I wanted to see who you really were, not what you thought of me because of my name. Emma's heart raced. She had been talking to a CEO this whole time. A billionaire. She suddenly felt out of her depth. But Liam didn't seem to care. He was still smiling at her. That same kind, genuine smile. And for the first time, Emma realized that maybe she wasn't the only one who had something to hide. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting across from a billionaire, a CEO, someone who had the power to change lives with a single phone call. But here he was, talking to me like I was just another person, not a waitress at a cafe. I stared at Liam, trying to process what he had just said. You're the CEO of Parker Technologies? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded, his expression calm and serious. Yes, I am, he replied. But there was no arrogance in his voice, no hint of superiority. It was as if he was just sharing a simple fact, like he was telling me he liked coffee. I didn't know what to say. I felt completely out of my depth. Here I was, a girl who barely made enough money to pay rent, sitting across from a man who could buy everything in this cafe 10 times over. The reality of the situation started to hit me. I wasn't just talking to some random guy anymore. I was talking to someone who lived a completely different life from mine. I felt exposed, vulnerable, like I was in the presence of someone who could crush me with a single look. But Liam didn't seem to see it that way. I know this might be a bit of a shock, he said, leaning forward slightly. But I wanted to get to know you, Emma. Not just as a waitress or a regular person, but as you, the real you. Not what my wealth might make you think I am. I couldn't help but feel a little relieved. He wasn't judging me, not like I had expected him to. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was somehow beneath him, that he was just being kind because it was the right thing to do. I'm not like the people you're used to, I said, trying to push my insecurities away. I don't belong in your world. Liam shook his head firmly. You're wrong. You belong in this world just as much as anyone else. I don't look at people like that. Whether you're a waitress or a CEO, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is who you are as a person. His words hit me harder than I expected. For the first time in a long time, someone saw me for who I was, not for the job I had or the way I looked. It was like a weight had been lifted off my chest. But then, the doubt crept back in. But why me? I asked, my voice shaking slightly. Why would someone like you even be interested in someone like me? Liam smiled softly, his eyes locking onto mine. Because you're real, Emma. You don't try to be someone else. You speak your mind, you dream big, and you care about the people around you. That's rare. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had always thought that people like Liam didn't care about people like me, that they only saw us as tools or beneath them. But here he was, saying the exact opposite. I'm just a waitress, I said, my voice cracking. I'm not special. Liam reached across the table, gently taking my hand in his. Emma, you are special. And I want you to know that. You've got something that most people would give anything for. Authenticity. That's something money can't buy. I felt a warmth spread through me at his touch. His words were so simple, yet they meant everything. For the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe I was worth something. Maybe I was more than just a girl with a dream. Maybe I was someone who deserved more. The conversation continued, but my mind kept coming back to one thing. Liam wasn't just a businessman. He wasn't just a billionaire. He was a person who saw me, who cared about who I really was. And that made all the difference. As the cafe began to empty, Liam and I stood up, ready to leave. I felt lighter, as if the heavy cloud of doubt and fear had lifted just a little. Liam looked at me and smiled. I'm glad we met, Emma. I really am. Me too, I said softly, a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. As we walked out of the cafe together, I realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something more. Something I never thought could happen in a million years. A real connection, not built on appearances or money, but on understanding and honesty. And that was worth more than anything in the world. I walked out of the cafe feeling lighter, as if a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the streets, and for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. Liam was still walking beside me, his presence comforting, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that this was all too good to be true. He was a billionaire, a CEO, someone whose world was so far removed from mine. What did he see in me? Why did he want to spend time with someone like me? We walked in silence for a while, each of us lost in our thoughts, before he spoke again. I meant what I said, Emma, Liam said, his voice soft but firm. You're different. I like that about you. I don't want you to feel like you have to pretend to be someone else around me. I turned to look at him, unsure of how to respond. I had spent so much of my life pretending that I was okay, pretending that my dreams were enough, when sometimes it felt like the world was against me. But with Liam, it felt different. He didn't ask me to be anything other than myself. I'm not used to people seeing me like that, I admitted, my voice a little shaky. I always feel like I have to be more, you know? Like I'm not good enough unless I'm perfect. He stopped walking and turned to face me, his expression serious. You are more than enough, Emma. Don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you otherwise. Perfection is overrated. What matters is being real. His words were like a balm to my soul, soothing a part of me that had been aching for so long. I had spent years trying to fit into a mold that wasn't meant for me, and here was Liam, telling me that it was okay to be who I was, that I didn't have to change to be accepted. Thank you, I whispered, feeling tears well up in my eyes. It was hard to believe, but at that moment, I believed him. Liam smiled, a gentle, reassuring smile that made my heart flutter. You don't have to thank me. Just be yourself. That's all I need from you. We continued walking, the air growing cooler as the evening settled in. Liam seemed to sense the change in the atmosphere, and before I knew it, we were standing outside a small, quiet art gallery. I looked up at the building, puzzled. What are we doing here? I asked, confused. Liam grinned. I thought you might like to see something. He reached out and opened the door, motioning for me to step inside. The gallery was small, but the walls were lined with beautiful paintings, each one more stunning than the last. I felt a wave of awe wash over me. I had always dreamed of having my own art studio, but seeing a place like this made me realize just how far I still had to go. This is amazing, I whispered, taking in the colors and the emotions captured in each piece. I've never seen anything like it. Liam nodded, his eyes scanning the room. I thought you'd appreciate it. It's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you here. I know it's not the same as having your own studio, but I wanted you to see that there's a world out there that values art, that values what you do. His words hit me harder than I expected. You believe in me? I asked, my voice small. I've always believed in you, Emma, Liam said, his gaze softening. I see your potential, and I want to help you get there. My heart skipped a beat. I had never had someone believe in me like this before. I had always relied on myself, but hearing Liam say those words made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I could make my dreams come true. The night went on, and we talked about art, life, and everything in between. Liam shared stories about his work, about the struggles he faced to get to where he was, and about how he wished he had someone to share it all with. I listened intently, captivated not just by his success, but by his vulnerability. There was so much more to Liam than just the CEO persona. He was human, just like me, with hopes, dreams, and fears. By the end of the evening, I felt a deep connection to him, one that went beyond surface-level attraction. This was something real, something meaningful. As we left the gallery, Liam looked at me with a serious expression. I know this is all moving fast, he said, his voice low, but I feel like we've really connected, and I want to see where this goes. No games, no pretenses, just us, getting to know each other. I didn't know what to say at first. My mind was racing, unsure if I was ready to take the next step. But deep down, I knew that I had already taken a leap into something I never thought was possible. I nodded slowly, a smile forming on my lips. I'd like that, I said, my voice barely a whisper. And in that moment, I realized that I was no longer the same person who had walked into that cafe. I had found something I didn't even know I was looking for. And maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of a beautiful journey. The days that followed felt like a dream I was too afraid to wake up from. Emma and Liam continued to meet, slowly but surely. It was a strange feeling, walking beside someone who came from such a different world, yet somehow made me feel like I belonged. We spent weekends together, visiting art galleries, talking about everything from dreams to fears, and sharing pieces of ourselves that we had kept hidden from the world. Every time we met, it felt more natural, more real. I didn't know how to explain it, but something between us had shifted. I could see it in the way he looked at me, like he genuinely cared. Not because I was a waitress or had big dreams, but because I was me. It wasn't about what I did, but who I was. One evening, after another deep conversation, I found myself sitting in Liam's car, parked by the city lights. The night was quiet, and the air was crisp. It was moments like this that made me feel like everything could be different. "I never thought I'd find someone like you, Emma," Liam said softly, his voice steady, but full of emotion. I turned to him, my heart skipping a beat. "Someone like me? What do you mean?" "Someone who doesn't expect anything from me except for me to be myself," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "Someone who sees me for who I really am, not just the CEO." His words hit me harder than I expected. I had never thought of it that way. I had always assumed people saw him as the powerful businessman, the millionaire, the CEO. But here he was, talking to me like I wasn't just seeing him through the lens of his wealth or success. It was real. "I don't care about your money, Liam," I said, my voice quiet but sure. "I care about who you are. I care about you. I never thought I would find someone like you, either." He smiled, and for a moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of us, in that moment, understanding each other in a way I never thought possible. The connection we had was so deep, so raw, that it didn't matter who we were in the eyes of the world. It was only about who we were together. As I sat there, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, I realized something. I had always thought I needed to change to fit in, to be someone I wasn't. But with Liam, I felt like I didn't need to pretend. I could just be myself. And somehow, that felt like the most freeing thing in the world. That night, we talked about our future, about what we wanted, and what we were afraid of. For the first time, I allowed myself to imagine a future that didn't seem so impossible. I allowed myself to believe in something more than just surviving. "I know we're moving fast," Liam said, breaking the silence that had fallen over us. "But I want you to know that I'm serious about this. About us. I'm not just here for the moment, Emma. I want to see where this goes, and I'm willing to take that step with you." I looked at him, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. I had never been one to rush into things, but with Liam, it felt different. I felt safe with him, even when everything else in my life seemed uncertain. I knew that I had never felt this way before. "I want that too, Liam," I whispered, my heart full. "I'm scared, but I want to take that step with you too." The words felt like a promise, something I had never given to anyone before. It wasn't just about a relationship. It was about trust, about allowing myself to open up to someone who saw me for who I was, and not who I could be. The next few weeks passed in a blur. We spent more time together, and I felt myself growing in ways I never thought possible. Liam helped me set up my own art show, something I had always dreamed of but never had the courage to pursue. It wasn't the biggest show, but it was mine, and that meant everything. As the night of the show approached, I couldn't help but feel nervous. It was a huge step for me, and the idea of showing my work to others made me anxious. But Liam was there, by my side, every step of the way. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. When the night arrived, the gallery was filled with people, and I felt a mix of excitement and fear. But when I saw Liam standing at the entrance, smiling at me with that warm, encouraging look, all my fears melted away. He didn't care about the size of the show or the crowd. He cared about me, and that was enough. The show was a success. People admired my work, and I felt proud of what I had accomplished. But more than that, I realized that this was only the beginning. I had found something in myself that I had never known existed, something that came from believing in who I was. And as I looked at Liam, standing there, watching me, I realized that maybe the greatest gift he had given me wasn't just his support. It was his belief in me, in my potential. And that belief had changed everything. The days following the art show felt like a whirlwind. Emma's art had been well received, and she had finally gained the confidence she had longed for. The success of the show gave her a new sense of purpose, a sense of belief in herself that she had never felt before. But it wasn't just the show that had changed her. It was the way Liam had been by her side through it all. His quiet support, his belief in her, had made all the difference. It wasn't just about the art anymore. It was about the connection they shared, about the way he made her feel like she could be more than just a waitress, more than just someone struggling to make ends meet. She was someone worth believing in. As the weeks passed, their relationship grew deeper. They spent more time together, and Emma began to open up to Liam in ways she never had before. She shared her fears, her dreams, her struggles, and for the first time, It felt like someone truly understood her. Liam never judged her. He only listened, offering encouragement and kindness when she needed it most. There were moments when Emma still struggled with her insecurities. She was, after all, still the same person she had been before she met Liam. But with him, she felt different. She felt like she could take on the world. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of his apartment, watching the city lights twinkle below, Emma turned to Liam, her heart full of emotions she didn't quite know how to express. "Liam," she said softly, "do you ever wonder if we're just too different?" Liam raised an eyebrow, his gaze steady. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Emma hesitated, "you come from this world of power, wealth, and success, and I come from a world where I'm just trying to survive. What if we're not meant for each other? What if we're just living in a dream?" Liam smiled, a small, reassuring smile. He reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "Emma, it's true that we come from different worlds," he said, his voice low and comforting. "But that's not what matters. What matters is who we are when we're together. It's about the connection we have, the way we understand each other. I don't need you to be someone else, and I'm not trying to change you. I just want to be with you, just as you are." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had never heard anyone say something like that to her before. It wasn't about the money, the status, or the lifestyle. It was about the way they made each other feel, the way they saw each other for who they truly were. And for the first time in a long time, Emma believed him. She believed that maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. "I want that too," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "I want to be with you, just as I am." Liam leaned in, his forehead gently touching hers. "And that's all I'll ever ask for," he whispered back. The moment felt perfect, like everything had finally fallen into place. They didn't need to be anyone else but themselves. And for the first time, Emma felt like she had everything she needed. It wasn't just about the dreams she had for her future or the art she wanted to create. It was about the person sitting next to her, the person who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. The next few months flew by in a haze of happiness and new beginnings. Emma's art career began to take off, and she started to receive recognition from galleries and collectors alike. She was finally living the life she had always dreamed of, and she couldn't have done it without Liam by her side. He was there for every step, every success, and every moment of doubt. He believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. One evening, after a particularly successful exhibition, Liam took Emma to dinner at one of her favorite spots. As they sat at the table, enjoying their meal, he reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Emma," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion, "I've been thinking a lot about us lately. About how far we've come, how much we've grown, both individually and together. And I realized something." Emma looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest. "What did you realize?" "I realized that I want to spend the rest of my life with you," Liam said, his eyes locking onto hers. "I want to build a future together, to be there for you, through all the highs and lows. You're the one I want, Emma." Tears filled her eyes as she looked at him, her heart swelling with love and happiness. "Liam, before she could say another word, he stood up, walking around the table to kneel in front of her. "Emma, will you marry me?" he asked, his voice full of love and sincerity. The restaurant seemed to fade away as Emma looked at him, the man who had changed her life in ways she never thought possible. She had never imagined this moment, but now, standing before her, was everything she had ever wanted. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Yes, I will marry you." And in that moment, everything felt perfect. Their journey together was just beginning, and Emma knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, side by side. The days leading up to the wedding were filled with excitement, nerves, and an overwhelming sense of joy. Emma couldn't believe how far she had come in such a short time. From the girl who struggled to make ends meet, to the woman who was about to marry a man she never thought she'd even meet, let alone fall in love with. It felt like a dream she was afraid to wake up from. As the wedding day approached, Emma's emotions ran wild. She found herself questioning everything. Was she really ready for this? Was she deserving of the life she was about to step into? Liam had given her so much, but could she give him the same in return? The night before the wedding, Emma stood alone in front of the mirror in her small apartment, staring at the simple, yet beautiful wedding dress hanging on the back of her door. It was the One she had chosen months ago, before everything had changed. The one she could afford with her savings from working extra shifts, and yet, it felt like a dream come true. She ran her fingers over the fabric, a wave of emotion washing over her. She had come so far, but was she ready for this next step? The sound of her phone ringing broke her thoughts. It was Liam. She quickly picked it up, relieved to hear his voice. "Hey, Emma." Liam's voice was soft, yet full of warmth. "How are you doing?" She sighed, trying to calm the butterflies in her stomach. "I'm okay, just a little nervous. You know, about tomorrow." There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and Emma could almost feel Liam's smile through the phone. "I know exactly how you feel," he said. "But you know what? I've never been more sure of anything in my life than I am about marrying you. You're the one, Emma, and nothing's going to change that." His words made her heart swell. They were the words she needed to hear, even if she hadn't realized it until now. The doubts that had been swirling in her mind started to fade, replaced with a quiet certainty. "I love you," she whispered, the words feeling more real than they ever had. "I love you too," Liam replied. "And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." The next morning, Emma woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside her window. It was the day she had dreamed of for so long, the day that would change everything. She took a deep breath, smiling to herself as she got ready. She wasn't the same person she had been when she first met Liam. She had grown, learned, and loved in a way she never thought possible. And now, as she slipped into her dress, she knew that this was just the beginning. The ceremony was held in a beautiful garden, with flowers blooming all around them. Liam stood at the altar, his eyes locked on Emma as she walked toward him. She had never seen him look so happy, so at peace. And when he took her hand, she felt like everything had finally fallen into place. The vows they exchanged were simple, but heartfelt. Liam promised to love and support her through every challenge, and Emma promised to always be there for him, to never let go of the connection they had built. The moment their hands touched, Emma knew that this was where she was meant to be. There was no hesitation, no doubts, just a quiet certainty that they were exactly where they were supposed to be. As they exchanged rings and sealed their vows with a kiss, the crowd cheered, but Emma barely noticed. It was just the two of them, in that moment, surrounded by the love they had built together. After the ceremony, they celebrated with their closest friends and family. Emma couldn't stop smiling, her heart full as she looked around at the people who had supported her along the way. But it wasn't the celebration that made this day so special. It was the journey that had led them here. The challenges, the growth, and the love they had shared. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about everything that had come before it and everything that would come after. As they shared their first dance as husband and wife, Liam held Emma close, his arms wrapped around her as they swayed to the music. "This is just the beginning, Emma," he whispered in her ear. "We've got the rest of our lives ahead of us." And in that moment, Emma knew he was right. This was just the beginning. They had found something real, something worth fighting for. And no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, side by side, with love and trust guiding them every step of the way. The months following their wedding were a whirlwind of joy, growth, and new beginnings. Emma and Liam settled into their life together, building a foundation of trust, love, and support. The art gallery exhibitions continued to grow, with Emma's work now featured in some of the most prestigious venues in the city. She was living the dream she had once thought impossible, and it was all thanks to the belief that Liam had in her, even when she doubted herself. But it wasn't just about her art anymore. Their relationship had deepened, and Emma found herself not only growing professionally, but emotionally as well. Liam had been by her side through every challenge, every success, and every moment of doubt, proving to her that love was more than just a fleeting feeling. It was a choice, a commitment to standing by each other, no matter what life threw their way. One evening, after a particularly successful opening night for her latest exhibition, Emma and Liam sat together on the balcony of their apartment, enjoying the view of the city skyline. The night air was cool, and the stars above sparkled like diamonds. Liam reached for her hand, squeezing it gently as he looked out over the city. "You know," Liam began, his voice thoughtful, "I've been thinking a lot about how far we've come. Not just with your art, but with everything. I remember when we first met, and I had no idea what was in store for us." Emma smiled, leaning into him. "I remember that night too. I never imagined I'd be sitting here, married to you, living this life. It feels surreal sometimes. Liam chuckled softly. I know exactly what you mean. But you've earned every bit of it, Emma. You've worked so hard for everything you've achieved. And I'm so proud of you. Emma's heart swelled at his words. She had never had anyone believe in her the way Liam did, and it made her want to work even harder, not just for herself, but for the life they were building together. Thank you, she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude. I couldn't have done it without you. Liam looked at her, his eyes filled with tenderness. You're stronger than you know, Emma. And I'll always be here to support you, no matter what. She smiled, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. I know, she replied softly, squeezing his hand. And I'll always be here for you too. Over the next few weeks, they focused on their individual and shared goals. Emma continued to expand her art career, taking on new projects and gaining recognition from art critics and collectors. Liam, on the other hand, had been busy with his tech company, working long hours but always making time for their life together. They had found a balance, a way to support each other while continuing to chase their dreams. But life, as it always does, had its way of throwing unexpected challenges their way. One afternoon, Liam came home earlier than usual, his face clouded with concern. Emma looked up from her sketchbook, noticing the change in his demeanor. Liam, what's wrong? She asked, putting her work aside and standing up to approach him. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's the company, he began, his voice strained. We've been facing some unexpected challenges. I can't go into all the details, but it looks like we're going to have to make some tough decisions in the next few weeks. It's been keeping me up at night. Emma's heart sank as she watched him, knowing how much Liam cared about his work and the people who depended on him. Is there anything I can do to help? She asked, her voice gentle. He shook his head, a hint of frustration in his eyes. I don't think so. I hate feeling like I can't fix things. Like I can't control everything. Emma stepped closer to him, placing a hand on his arm. Liam, you've always been the one who fixes things, who takes care of everyone around him. But you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to carry the weight of everything on your shoulders. I'm here for you, just like you've always been here for me. Liam looked at her, his eyes softening. I don't know what I'd do without you, Emma, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You make everything seem possible, even when I can't see the way forward. Emma smiled, her heart swelling with love for the man standing in front of her. We'll get through this, together, just like we've gotten through everything else. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma realized that this was the true test of their love, the ability to face the hard times, the uncertainty, and the challenges together. It wasn't about the success or the fame. It was about standing by each other when things got tough. And she knew, without a doubt, that no matter what happened, they would always have each other. The road ahead was uncertain, but Emma was no longer afraid. With Liam by her side, she knew they could conquer anything. And with that thought in her heart, she felt more certain than ever that their journey was only just beginning. The weeks that followed were filled with both uncertainty and growth. But the one thing Emma and Liam knew for sure was that they could face anything together. The challenges at Liam's company became more pressing, but through it all, he never once doubted their connection or the love they had for each other. Emma continued to pursue her art, but now, it was no longer just about the recognition or the success. It was about the deeper meaning behind each stroke of paint, the stories she wanted to tell, and the legacy she wanted to leave behind. She had found her voice, and it had only been possible because of Liam's belief in her and their shared understanding of what truly mattered. As time passed, Emma and Liam continued to support each other, facing the difficulties that came their way, but always with love, patience, and trust. Liam's company eventually weathered the storm, and though there were tough moments, he had grown as a leader and as a person. Emma's art was featured in galleries around the world, but what mattered most to her was not the accolades, but the way her work touched others, just as Liam had touched her life. One night, after a long day of meetings and painting, Emma sat on the balcony of their apartment, gazing at the city lights. Liam joined her, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her close. We've come a long way, haven't we? Liam said, his voice full of warmth. Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. We have. I never thought I would be here, doing what I love, with you by my side. It's everything I've ever wanted, and more. Liam kissed her forehead gently, his lips lingering. I'm proud of you, Emma. And I'm proud of us. We've built something beautiful together. Emma closed her eyes, resting her head against his chest. I never thought I could have this. You know, a family, a life that feels real. But now, I can't imagine my life without you. Liam's arms tightened around her. And you never will, Emma. We're in this for the long haul, no matter what comes our way. Emma smiled, knowing in her heart that they had already faced so much, and there was nothing that could come between them now. Their journey wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Together, they had built a life filled with love, respect, and mutual support. And it was only just beginning. As they sat there, watching the stars twinkle above them, Emma realized that everything she had ever wanted was right. There in her arms. She had found the love she had once thought was only a dream, and now, it was her reality. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Liam by her side, she knew they could face anything. Together, they would build the future they had always imagined, a future full of possibility and endless love. And in that moment, Emma knew that no matter where life took them, they would always have each other, and that was all they truly needed.